Last time on Bleach, Thousand-Year Blood War. Rupturing a hole through Kyoyuraku's abdomen, Baro is back again. After sustaining multiple fatal injuries, Kyoyuraku starts slipping into unconsciousness, but luckily Nanao makes it in time. Using the bladeless Shinken Hakyoken, a Zanpakuto passed down in her family with the ability to fight gods by reflecting their powers, Nanao faces Baro. His devastating final attack ends up striking him down instead as Nanao, with Kyoyuraku's support, reflects it back at him, sealing his fate. With two stern ritters gone, is hope still alive for the Soul Rippers? Stay tuned to find out. Episode 12 kicks off with a blast from the past. A young, frail Hashwolf meets a young, fiery Bazb for the first time ever. Presently, the two face off with tensions high as Hashwolf asks Bazb if his injuries were a result of Uwatch's Oswalin. Oswalin, which he had performed on his troops, had ended up killing everyone it didn't select, except for a few exceptions like Bazb. Hashwolf apologizes to him for not knowing this would happen, but Bazb snaps at him for feigning ignorance on the matter, as though he didn't know this would happen all along. The two had known each other for quite some time, and Bazb then tells Hashwolf to call him by what he used to call him, Baz, while he also takes Hashwolf's old nickname he had for him, Jugo. Bazb then activates his burning finger and tells Hashwolf that he knew soon he would swap places with Uwatch when he fell asleep, and so he was going to kill Uwatch's powers alongside him once and for all as the two engaged in a blazing duel. The day the two met for the first time, Hashwolf lacked any self-esteem since he couldn't make weapons from Ryushi like Bazb or the others. Bazb then tries reassuring Hashwolf in his own way by telling him Bazb, was just a genius, and even the others weren't able to keep up with him as well, so he shouldn't let himself get down over it too much. Bazb then gives Hashwolf the nickname Jugo, which he doesn't like, and asks him to stop calling him that. During their conversation, Hashwolf reveals he had no family except his uncle. Bazb then rips a button from his jacket and throws it at Hashwolf's feet, declaring him his underling from that day onward and promising to help him become the strongest Quincy alongside him. As the two old acquaintances face each other, now as enemies, a flashback to Bazb's past shows us the devastation Uwatch and his forces had caused them. Bazb's entire village had been wiped out, leaving no one alive besides him, while Hashwolf's uncle also got killed in the fires they spread around. From that day onward, the two young men had vowed to train and get close to Uwatch someday, with the aim of killing him. Time passed, but Hashwolf still couldn't make Ryushi weapons. However, that didn't stop Bazb from continuously encouraging his friend. Uwatch, who had conquered all the territories of the Quincy country of Light Reich, tells his general, Sadoltz, that they needed to assemble an elite combat unit now, one that could help him defeat the Soul Society. The name of this elite unit would be known as the Stern Ritter. Over the span of the next 5 years, Bazb and Hashwolf continued their tireless training every day and night to become stronger. Thanks to his immense latent talent, Bazb was showing tremendous growth and still had plenty of room to keep growing. However, it was a different story with Hashwolf, who even after 5 years of trying was unable to create a bow or, better yet, collect Rishi like other Quincies. Bazb had heard of cases like him, where one person would be born with absolutely no latent abilities and would be deemed useless, eventually being weeded out. However, these were legends, and none had been born in many hundreds of years. Bazb started to think if having Hashwolf tag along with him would hinder him in any capacity. But after seeing him train his sword skills every day without rest, Bazb just couldn't bring himself to leave him behind. Then came the day that changed everything. Uwatch's forces announced the building of the elite combat unit Stern Ritter. Bazb and Hashwolf follow them and go up to the commanding officer. Bazb then tells him boldly to let them recruit into the Stern Ritter. However, the pretentious officer shrugs him off and tells him they'll be notified when recruitment begins. As he's leaving, Bazb shoots an arrow in his path, forcing him to stop and openly challenges him to a fight for his position. The officer takes up his challenge and quickly rushes over to where he was, but before they can fight, everyone, including Bazb, collapses to the ground. It was Uwatch's spiritual pressure. He announces he has found the right-hand man he was looking for. Thinking it was him he was talking about, Bazb gets excited that all of his efforts were finally about to bear fruit, but is left utterly shocked when Uwatch actually goes up to Hashwolf instead. Uwatch then asks him to become his advisor, leaving his own subordinates stunned. After training for so long, Bazb had imagined both of them being in the position Hashwolf was in right now, or, at the very least, the one who actually had talent, in other words, himself. as he gets frustrated over not being the chosen one. Hashwolf tells Uwatch that he must have made some kind of mistake, as he had no talent and couldn't even make a single bow. He suggests Uwatch take Bazb instead, who actually did have talent. Uwatch clears Hashwolf's misunderstanding by telling him the two of them had unique powers, where they couldn't have them but instead could give others powers, let them grow, and then take them back. Uwatch explains that the real reason why Bazb was able to show so much potential was because he had been in Hashwolf's company all this time. Thanks to Hashwolf, a talentless nobody like him was also at the level of a genius. Uwatch then places his hand on Hashwolf's head, telling him to come with him since he needed him, making him feel wanted for the first time ever. Suddenly, Bazb goes berserk and shoots an arrow straight at Uwatch. In a shocking turn of event, however, the one who ends up blocking it is none other than Hashwolf himself, who had promised to kill Uwatch alongside Bazb. The scene transitions into the present, where Hashwolf tries telling Bazb to stop fighting as it doesn't benefit the king. Bazb, who was there to actually kill that same king, activates his burner finger for attack. Hashwolf leaps back to try and avoid further fighting, but Bazb invites him to it. We then see a scene 3 years after Hashwolf got recruited by Uwatch. By then, Bazb had managed to get into the Stern Ritter as well and kept trying to fight Hashwolf, who would refuse to engage since they were forbidden to fight amongst each other, with the penalty being death. Lieutenant Commander Hubert offers to fix Bazb in Hashwolf's place, but he still doesn't allow it, as even though Ihwok wasn't there to see it happening, he, the commanding officer, was, and he wasn't about to let anyone defile his lord's orders. In just 3 years he had become the commander of the entire Sternritters, but refused to fight Bazb. In the present, things had changed, as Bazb leaps at Hashwolf and attacks him. Hashwolf counters by slicing his arm off, letting off his final attack. Burning full fingers doesn't prove helpful to Bazb either, as Hashwolf settles their clash with a decisive swing. Bazb slowly walks up to him, while bleeding profusely, grabs his jacket, and tells Hashwolf he thought losing to him would be far worse, while smiling, and finally collapses. Voices of their time together echo through Bazb's head one last time and fade away forever, while Hashwolf sheaths his sword and calmly walks back to his post.